Om Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Srishti Sthiti Vinashanam Shakti Bhute Sanatane Gunashraye Gunamaye Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinatha Paritrana Parayane Sarvasyati Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Namaste to the Divine Mother in all of you. Today is Buddha Purnima, very auspicious day, thrice blessed day. Because the Buddha was born, had his nirvana, his enlightenment and his parinirvana on the same day. So I would like to share one very beautiful incident from his life because it will help us in our study and the exact state we are aiming at. It comes out so beautifully. Did you sit up yesterday night? It was so beautiful, the full moon. Yeah, I was sitting in that porch and it was so bright. So this incident, they say it happened just after Buddha's enlightenment. So he, as you know, he had his enlightenment in Bodhi Gaya, and when he was under that tree, he was so absolutely absorbed in that full awakening, he would not even come out for food. He just revelled in that bliss of that state. And there was a luminosity about him by which everybody came to know that he had attained the goal. The clarity of his mind, his very presence, it showed that. So it so happened that once a day he would come out of that place and he would wander into the village which was close by and beg for his food and take it back to his tree and go back into his states of meditation, and he would that's all he would have for the day. So he did this, they say, for 7 days after his enlightenment, and by which time everybody had sort of come to know that an enlightened Mahapurush is there, and from time to time he comes from his place, and so some idea of it they had. So one day it so happened that the Buddha came into this village with his begging bowl. You know, he held the same bowl for 32 years, they say. That level of awareness, it was simple pottery, you know, it was just clay, made of clay. But it never broke even once. He didn't need to change it. That much awareness in every action. So he came with his bowl and he stood before the first hut. It was a small hut. And there was a potter working on his wheel. Turning his face towards his hut, he was just working on his wheel, making pots. And the Buddha is supposed to have said, Alakh Niranjan or Bhiksha Andehi, what they used to say at that time. And this potter did not realize who is behind him. So he said, please go ahead, I'm busy. And the Buddha walked ahead. He went to another hut close by and he begged there. He got his food and then he went back into his forest. And he went back to his place and sat in meditation. Now it so happened that after a few hours, this potter's son came running to him and said, Father, do you know that Tathagata had come here? The enlightened one was here. Did you see him? And the potter said, no. Then he suddenly thought, but yes, somebody did beg for food. And I said, go ahead. Then he realized what he had done and he broke down. And then he and his son both fled to that forest just to speak to the Tathagata, to ask forgiveness. And then it happened that it was already dusk. They didn't know which way to go. And they just stopped there. And then the son said, let's come in the morning, Father. So they came back, and that whole day the potter slept. It was a sleepless night for him. he so regretted his action, and then the next morning he was up early, and now he wanted to meet the Tathagata. So they both went into the forest, and they found their way to that tree under which the Buddha would sit, and they saw him there, luminous in his state of full enlightenment and shedding such radiance all around him. They felt the palpable peace and just the beauty of his presence. In fact, the Buddha was such that for a radius of 2 miles around him, people could feel the peace, the stillness, and the knowledge which he radiated. So they saw him, and at once this potter went and fell at his feet and said, "Oh Lord, forgive me, forgive me. I didn't realize you were at my doorstep yesterday." And then the Buddha said, "Forgive you for what?" And he said, "Why, I denied you food yesterday." And the Buddha said, "So what?" And he said, "What will happen to my tomorrow?" And the Buddha said, "In my perception, there is no yesterday and no tomorrow." He said, "Yesterday I did this to you. There is no yesterday. And there is no tomorrow. Don't worry. There is only the now. There is always only the now. There is no yesterday, there is no tomorrow." Anybody who has had realization will say it is in the here and the now. It is not a thing of the past or something you will have in the future. See, this is all created by the mind. The mind sets up the stage for duality. The mind sets up the stage for time, for the play of time, space and causation. This is the great delusion we are suffering from. And the Buddha said, there is no yesterday and no tomorrow. Forget it. There is only the now. And in this now, your devotion has given me all that I need. Don't worry about it. See, there's so much to learn from this incident. Our minds are constantly dwelling on the past or the future, which is not there. It's only a memory. It is not your present reality. It is not reality. But the mind, it can't let go of that, you know. Thought itself means, I told you, most of your thoughts are memories. Going back to the past and brooding over something there, or going into the future and expecting something there, dreaming of something. But it never stands in the present. The Buddha mind means you are in the present. When you are in the present and in full awareness, there is no mind. No mind? You remember that phrase? Very important word. Amani man. No mind. Full awareness is no mind. Thought means no awareness. Or rather, awareness has got invested in a thought process which is carrying you away. So, catching this state, the state of the Buddha, so very important. That is why sadhana. That is why spiritual practice. That is why the help of the higher power is required. Is it easy to, manufacture a no mind? You know how our minds are. Monkey mind is a small term for our minds. They are, Vivekananda used to say, it's crazy, the mind. So to bring it into that state, that is why sadhana. Where there is absolutely no conditioning through a time-space causation module, where there is absolutely no ripple of thought, anger, hatred, negativity, fear. Just awareness. Be as you are. Many of us, how we think of ourselves is, we think we are like this. You are not what you think you are. You are, that's all. But this mind creates all this. And it is in the realm of Mahamaya. It is under the jurisdiction of Mahamaya. That is why you need her help. She will put down what requires to be put down. What does not exist, she will reveal it to you that it does not exist. And whatever is existent, yet we are not seeing it, she will reveal that truth completely. So this is why it is important to study the mind of the illumined. It will give you an exact picture of the state we are aiming at. There is a beautiful saying. What is kritarthasya lakshanani yani eva kritarthasya lakshanani tani eva sadhakasya sadhanani. What is the lakshana of a kritartha, of a realized mind? The signs of the realized. That becomes sadhana for the unrealized. See, this is so important. That is why study that mind, study those states. Look at the living example of Sri Ramakrishna in our own times, just a few years back. Such a luminous mind, constantly plunging into samadhi. That was his normal default state kind of thing, you know. Always entering into the consciousness of Sagun Brahman, dwelling there, talking with the mother, joking and laughing with her, and coming back into the state of normal consciousness, again going into the state of the highest samadhi, coming out of that. What kind of mind is that? So these great souls are showing us the state to be aimed at. The realization is ever present. I am telling you, it is so simple. Vedanta is the simplest thing about it. It is life actually. It is not about life also. Only thing is we are seeing things through the lens of the mind. Yesterday we discussed this. That is why then all these complications. I can't perceive, I don't know. You are more than known. You are the self. You are pure awareness right now. But the mind is creating all this entire, movie of life being manufactured by mind, and the producer, director, everything is the mind, and the actor also. Everything, your mind. So this is how Vedanta sees it. That is why, Now, in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, you will see when he was, his how to realize the Divine Mother. We get it directly from the life of Sri Ramakrishna. How did he approach her? See, when he entered into the Dakshineshwar Kali temple as a priest, what were the questions in his mind? Is she real? Or is it an image? A stone image? Or is it real? A very important question. What is reality? Is God real? What are we pursuing? So Vedanta has very clear ideas on what is reality. What is reality? Which is self-luminous, which means conscious by itself, not functioning on borrowed consciousness. Ever living, ever present, full consciousness. And it is eternal. Doesn't mean it is always present in time. It goes beyond time. And it is abadhita, which means it is unsublatable, unnegatable by any means. Ever present reality. And it is unchanging. God's nature is unchanging because he is not under his mind, not under a mind. His mind, of course, is divine, but not under a mind like ours. So there is no change there in the state of his consciousness. This is the definition of reality in Vedanta. So Sri Ramakrishna actually wanted to know the reality of Brahman. That was the question. The reality. What is the truth about my Divine Mother? And how did he approach her? As a child would approach the mother. Forced his demands on her, You have to reveal yourself to me. How beautiful that, just reading that in the Great Master, it's so elevating actually. The way Sri Ramakrishna, he was a young man at that time. 18, 19, 20 years old. And the way he appealed to the mother and the way he wept and placed everything at her feet. You remember his prayers? Ma, ei now tumar paap, ei now tumar punya. Amai shuddha bhakti dao. See, all the dualities of life, the dual functioning of the mind he is surrendering. Ei now tumar Dharma, adharma, amai shuddha bhakti da. Everything he is putting at her feet, he is putting the mind at her feet. And then what happened? He had the first vision of the Divine Mother. And how it is described, how beautiful. He says, I plunged into the ocean of consciousness, the great light, and the blissful form of the Divine Mother. I plunged into that. The shoreless ocean of consciousness and light, he says. And he says, and there was a undiluted bliss reigning in my heart during the entire experience. He actually tried to put an end to his life. If I can't see the mother, then I don't want to live. That was the extent of the yearning. And then mother revealed herself as her true nature is Satchidananda. And he immersed himself into that light. And after a long time, when he came out of it, and that is why he used to say, my mother is Satchidananda. They are not two entities. See, our conceptual mind will put a duality even in God. Brahman is one thing, Shakti is another thing. Brahman is Shakti, Shakti is Brahman. You know how he used to describe his own state? It's so thrilling actually, everything about Thakur. He says, do you know how I function? I borrow 1/16 of my mind from the Divine Mother. It is ever plunged at her feet. It is merged in the ocean of consciousness, existence and bliss. I borrow 1/16 of that mind and talk and speak and laugh with you all. And then when I hear about her, the whole mind again goes back to its state. Yes, that 1/16 portion is again withdrawn and it plunges into the Divine Mother. And that is why he used to say, Shakti Brahma Abhed. They cannot be two things, think and see. Whatever word you use is insufficient, because now if I say it's like the static and the kinetic state of the same Brahman, at once you turn over to physics. It will give you some kind of a concept in your head. It's the same thing expressing itself on two dimensions of existence, the manifest and the unmanifest. Same consciousness. So this is how he, Thakur's, what he has given in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, it is really the ultimate word on the highest level of existence. See, I'll give you simple examples. He says, do you know where God lives? Then he says, the very ordinary person will say, God lives in the heavens. Many people say that. And they'll want you to believe it. In the heavens, above the clouds. And then he says, the mediocre devotee will say, God lives in the heart, in the cave of the heart. But the superior devotee will say, God alone has become all this. He is all that there is. We discussed this idea yesterday. She has become all this. See the Advaitic vision. He alone is, all is not. Consciousness alone is. Names and forms are superimpositions on that consciousness. But the mind is making them appear real. The reality of anything is Mother, is Brahman. And is she with form or without form? What would Thakur say? He would say, see, there is an ocean of water, and by the cooling influence falling on it, it condenses into ice. It takes a form. But is ice different from water? And then when the sun of knowledge arises, the ice melts again into the water. The form is taken by the formless, and the form melts into the formless again. This is the nature of God. So what are we actually quarreling about in religion? It's meaningless. From the highest states of existence, consciousness, this is the perception. That is why you see these masters actually give us an inkling of real religion and spirituality. Not mind-made, not concocted, not philosophized about, but real insight. He is living in that state. He says, my mother has become all this. And so many times you will find in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Tini Shob Hoyechen. Brahman is all this that there is. Then he gives that beautiful example of the wax garden, you remember? He says like everything is made of wax. Wax is that divine consciousness, okay? And he says like if you go into a garden and you see that the trees, the leaves, the fruit, the people there, the buildings, everything is made of the same substance, wax. And that wax is this divine consciousness. Everything is Brahman. The mind superimposes name and form, idea, ideation, mentation, sensation, feeling, everything on that, and makes a caricature of, personalities, and believes that to be the truth. Because the light shining in your eyes is Brahman. The breath in your nose is Brahman. Where are we searching for him? So the fact of existence is Brahman. Anything existing is Brahman. And even our identities, because we take ourselves too seriously, our identities, we don't see this truth. The most serious thing in your life, please check and see, it's you. It's about you. Anything about you, you become at once. See, that deluded we are. We take ourselves so seriously. Once I remember this beautiful incident. Sri Ramakrishna was in the house of Nanda Bose, devotee. And there Nanda Bose is asking him, why this suffering in creation? Why is there creation at all? And Sri Ramakrishna says, it is her sweet will. It is her will that this creation should be like this. And then he sings that, Shakali tomar ichha, ichha mai tara tumi, tomar karma tumi koroma, loke bole koryami. It is her sweet will, everything that you see. We think it is ours. And then Nanda Bose counters this. He says, it may be her sweet will, but we are suffering. And then Thakur says, but who's that I? Did you inquire into that? Who's suffering? I am suffering is like an axiom with us. What is that I which is suffering? And then he says, as long as you say I, there is suffering. Learn to say tui, tumi. Naham, naham, tuhu, tuhu. Learn to say not I, but thou. See the divine hand in everything. Live in a state of consciousness where you will see reality as it is, and this exaggerated sense of individuality is minimized at least, if not obliterated. Then we will see things correctly. Otherwise, we have very strong emotions and perspectives based entirely on a very false sense of identity, please see, which has gone completely unscrutinized, uninvestigated. So, to do this, a little sadhana is required. Some amount of practice in everyday life is required. That is why the help of the Divine Mother. When we approach her as a child, she will give us what we require. Even here in this world, see, as long as a human being is struggling with, normal existence, with security here in this normal plane of life, there also the Divine Mother helps. She will grant you what you require so that you can pursue the spiritual path. She will make circumstances congenial to spiritual sadhana. So she is Bhukti Mukti Daini. It is very beautiful in the Chandi, it will come again. Bhoga Apavargada, she is called. Which means she will give Bhoga here, experience here, all that you require here, that will be provided, and Mukti also will be provided by her. She has the key to both. I again remember Swamiji's life, Vivekananda's life. See, for a long time when he was a young man, Swamiji did not accept Mother Kali. For many years he was an agnostic. Then, although he accepted Brahman, he was trained in the Brahma Samaj, you see, he did not accept Mother Kali. Even when he came to Thakur, he did not accept initially, for many years in fact. And that Sri Ramakrishna felt very hurt by that. And sometimes he would tell him, Naren would tell him, She's a figment of your imagination. What do you mean by I'm talking to her and I see her? Like this. He's done all our doubting for us, Whenever the mind doubts, you can go into the life of Narendranath and see. He's done all this for us. And then what happened was, in 1884, it so happened that Naren lost his father suddenly. And the family was suddenly reduced to poverty. Overnight, as it were, because his father had not saved money. Although they were a very well-to-do family, he was an attorney at Kolkata High Court. He had not saved money for the family. And they were in debt. So then overnight, Naren had to go and search for a job. And he was studying law at that time. And this happened sometime in January 1884, I think. And then it so happened he could not find a job. See how the circumstances. Such a brilliant young man. He was not finding a job. And the family was struggling at home. So then one day he thought, why don't I ask Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna? He's so close to that Mother Kali. Let him appeal to her. And if she blesses me, then all these problems will go. He can concentrate on his spiritual life. That's what he thought. Because at that time only, you see, the intense desire for God realization was there in him. So on 16th September, he goes to Sri Ramakrishna. That incident is so beautifully recorded. He goes and tells him, it was a Tuesday. And he sits before him and says, see, my family is passing through this phase. Why don't you pray for me? And Sri Ramakrishna said, I do pray for you, but you don't accept Mother Kali. So she doesn't listen to my prayers. Then Naren said, no, but you tell her, you press her, tell her to remove the wants of my family. And then she's crying. And then Naren tells him that, you tell her and she will listen. And then Sri Ramakrishna tells him, she is your mother also. She is the mother of the whole creation. You go and tell her. Why should you not tell her? She will listen to you. And today is a very auspicious day. It is Mangalwar. It is Tuesday. So go and tell her. And so, Naren prepares himself, and at 9 p.m. he enters the Kali temple. Maybe never was he so serious before the image of Mother Kali. And in all seriousness he goes in. But as he enters the temple, he feels the living goddess. He starts feeling the truth of Sagun Brahman, living goddess is sitting there, and he's inundated by waves of bliss. The transformation happened right before he entered the temple. Then he goes inside, and Sri Ramakrishna is watching, waiting in his room and watching what happens. He enters the Garbha Mandir. You have been to Dakshineshwar, you know how powerful it is, that whole place. So he enters there and stands before the mother, and he says, he prays to the mother. As soon as he looks at her, he forgets everything, He forgets about the family, the poverty, all the problems. He says, Mother, grant me only Vivek, Vairagya and Bhakti and Jnana. Grant me devotion and knowledge, Mother. This is all I want. Don't deny me this. He prays like this again and again and comes out. See, it is really like a veil being thrown over his mind. He completely forgets what he came there for. Then he goes to Sri Ramakrishna's room, and Sri Ramakrishna says, did you tell her? Then Naren says, no. As soon as I entered the temple, I forgot about this, and I only prayed to her for devotion and knowledge. And Sri Ramakrishna says, how thoughtless of you. Go back and pray to her. She listens to everybody, and she will grant you what you require. So then Naren again goes back. And again when he stands before the mother, he forgets everything. Look at the elevation of his mind. See, he was a Dhyana Siddha, one of the Sapta Rishis, come only to elevate mankind, humankind. So there, when in her presence, he forgets everything. Again he folds his hands, tears rolling down his cheeks. He says, Mother, grant me Bhakti and Jnana. I don't want anything else, Mother. Grant me this Vivek which will take me to the highest knowledge. Grant me Vairagya. Again he comes out. He goes to Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna says, this time you must have told her. And Thakur knows all that is happening, okay, but he's, anyway. Then he says, Naren says, no, I didn't ask her for that. Then Thakur says, how could you do this? Go back. Go back and tell her. And third time when Naren goes to in front of the mother, he says, I felt I was standing in front of a king asking for vegetables. I couldn't bring it into my mind to ask for material, anything material. Look at the state of his mind. And then he tells her, Mother, grant me bhakti and jnana. I don't want anything else. And he comes back. Then he is in front of Thakur. See, this is my dry eye, okay, problem. So he comes in front of Thakur and then he says, I could not ask for anything but devotion and knowledge. Then Thakur says, Ja, you are not destined to enjoy worldly life, but it will be that your family will never lack plain food and clothing. He is himself Mother Kali, isn't it? So he grants that boon. And then Swamiji is so relieved after that. But look at the state of his mind in all these phases. And after this incident, that night, he tells Thakur, tell me something about the mother. Tell me something about her, because he has palpably felt her power. In her presence, his mind is merged in Brahma. He is only asking for that. Then Sri Ramakrishna is very happy. He gets so happy, he teaches him that song, Ma Tvam Hi Tara, that beautiful song, Amar Ma Tvam Hi Tara, you alone are my mother. And he teaches him that song, and the whole night Naren sings that song. Morning Sri Ramakrishna is jubilant. And he tells all devotees who come in, he tells them, Naren has accepted Mother Kali. It's such a huge relief for Thakur. Do you know why? Accepting Mother Kali means accepting the manifest world. So now tomorrow he will work for this world. Otherwise he will remain plunged in Brahman. That was the nature of his mind. Accepting Mother Kali means accepting the manifest here. So then tomorrow Naren can be used for his purpose, Sri Ramakrishna's purpose. He brought Naren to this world to elevate human consciousness, to show us, give us these yogas, the most authentic interpretation of Hindu philosophy. Otherwise, where we would have been. See, these are all the real torch bearers of change. It's a turning point of Indian history. So this is how Sri Ramakrishna made Naren accept Mother Kali. And that is how Naren turned out to be. You see, the philosophy of Sri Ramakrishna, whatever, we can't even use the word philosophy. Anyway, whatever Sri Ramakrishna lived and taught us, that has been, the best interpreter of that has been Vivekananda, isn't it? Today we have it in that form. The value of the yogas, the purpose of human life, the highest reaches of the human consciousness, those elevated high states of consciousness. How would we have known if we had not known Sri Ramakrishna's life, and if we didn't have this Vivekananda literature and the practical means towards all this, the 4 yogas, all given by Vivekananda. So you see, this is how the mother teaches and how she reveals her true nature to humankind. And the fact of Brahman, that also I told you yesterday, it is only possible through her. Only through her, there is no other way. Because, actually speaking, when you do sadhana, you will understand at some point, there are only 2 ways in which you can get the knowledge of Brahman. One is you transcend mind. By sheer grace of God, you transcend mind. We call it samadhi or whatever you call it. In full awareness, if you can remain for a considerable period of time, you will get a taste of Brahman. Now this requires really divine grace. The second is, if you get into the proximity of an illumined master, he will make this happen. Because he is in that state, He will make this happen. Some glimpse of it definitely he will give you. So again my mind goes back to Kashipur, you see. There, no, not in Kashipur, this happened in Dakshineshwar only. Vivekananda, his first Naren, his first desire, see, he was coming, he was an adept in meditation. He was coming to Thakur, listening to all that he said, but not that he believed in all that Sri Ramakrishna said. But he loved Sri Ramakrishna, the sheer purity of the man, the integrity and the high spiritual atmosphere. Naren would come and sit at his feet. One day he was sitting at Sri Ramakrishna's feet, and Sri Ramakrishna suddenly said, you know, God alone has become this entire universe. And the way it is seen, it is not like that. It is Brahman only is manifesting in so many names and forms. Everything is Brahman. Now Naren got up. He went out of the room and he met Hazra there. That strange, critical devotee Hazra. He met him there and he told him, see what a queer philosophy he is expounding. It's called Advait Vedanta. And it says, Ghati Ishwar, Bati Ishwar, the pot is God, the clay, everything is God, the cup is God, you are God, I am God. How can this be? And they both started laughing. Tumi o Ishwar, Ami o Ishwar, Ghati Ishwar, Bati Ishwar. They both were having fun on that philosophy like that, and suddenly Thakur came out. Hearing that, most probably he must have come out. And he came out and he asked Naren, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? Then he went close to him and touched his heart. Bas. That was the end of all the whatever confusion. He didn't touch Hazra, Naren. And at once Naren plunged into such a state of elevated consciousness. He really transcended duality. Then and there, this is what I am saying, the touch of an illumined soul. Then and there, you know, he has his reminiscences, if you read, what happened after that, he really could not distinguish where his body ends and an object begins. He is walking on Cornwallis Square, the tram is coming, he doesn't feel like stopping there and allowing it to pass. He can't understand where he ends and the tram begins. He runs to railings and bangs his head on that to see if they are real. What is this happening? He goes home, his mother has laid the table, and he sees the plate and the spoon and the food and his mother all as Brahman, all as pure consciousness. The hazy demarcation of name and form has disappeared. So you see, this experience where only consciousness is seen and names and forms and images and pictures and everything that the mind makes up has vanished. This is the state of pure consciousness. So he understands Brahman alone is real, everything else was superimposed on that. In a complementary sense, you see the unreality of the world as it impinges on our senses and mind was brought home to him. Your senses and mind are interpreting this world to be as it is, not your awareness. When you awaken to full awareness, you will see the thing as it is, not as it appears to your senses and mind. The interpretation of the mind also is not there in that state. So, you see, that's why Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Because it is Brahma Satyam, when you realize Brahma Satyam, in a complementary sense you realize the world of names and forms is unreal, Mithya. Because it has no existence as that thing in itself. It is working on borrowed existence, and name and form is superimposed by the mind. And you are calling it that particular object. There is no particulars. There is only one consciousness. That is why I told you God is and all is not. That's the highest perception. Not that all is God. That poem, you remember the conversation between... anyway, let's not go into that. But in this incident, you see, it was a direct perception into the highest for Vivekananda. For many days he was in that state, almost lost to normal consciousness, And his mother and everyone wondered what happened to this boy. And then after some time, it's gradually faded. The mind kicked in. And then names and forms became real. What we call normal perceptions became real. And he came back into normal consciousness, and that became a memory. But such a strong memory. It's called Prajna Sanskar in Vedanta. Such a strong memory that within 10 years, across platforms in the US, Europe and India, he was preaching only Advaita Vedanta. Only the highest philosophy of the Upanishads. Because that is the truth of existence. I am seeing things made up by my mind. And this level of perception can come by the touch of an illumined soul. So, two ways to this knowledge. One is by dint of sadhana, and the kind of sadhana which Sri Ramakrishna shows, that fervent appeal to the Divine Mother. See, if you actually pray to the Divine, if you pray intensely for just 2 minutes with tears in your eyes, you will not remain the same for the next 10 months. Check this out and see. If it's an intense longing of your heart, you're praying that way and sort of shouting, screaming and asking for something, and with tears in your eyes, if you pray to the Divine Mother, for the next 10 months, you will forget this individuality sense. You won't be the same. This is the power of prayer. This is one way to God. The second way is the proximity of an illumined mind. It is unfallible in effect. It will take you there. But you must stay with it. You must stay with it. That's why that Gurukul Vas is very important for sadhaks. You must stay with, because the nature of that mind is, it is so strong, it will overpower the tendencies of your mind. Our minds are so weak. See, the more it is given to this kind of distraction, the weaker it becomes. That mind will overpower this mind. Ramana Maharshi used to say, give me the mind and I'll strike it down. Or in devotion, if you can give the mind to an illumined person, it's done for you. So these are the ways to this knowledge. This is the way to the highest knowledge of Brahman. And please see, the way is through Shakti. Even the illumined mind of the Guru is Mother, isn't it? I've given you the entire, she is all of this. And it is through her grace that one enters into this. When Sri Ramakrishna would talk of Mother Kali, he used to say Chinmayi. She is all consciousness. Chit is consciousness. Then he used to say Chaitanya Dhaini, the giver of consciousness. She is the higher consciousness. Okay. And he used to say Brahmamai. She is Brahman. She is the one who lives in Brahman. See, whatever word you use, I'm telling you, it's insufficient. I remember in one conversation, Ramana Maharshi put it perfectly, because another illumined sage, he put it so beautifully. He said, thought and word, it's like the grandson and great-grandson of the actual thing. It is so, like it's a third, fourth order. Yes, you cannot allow it to express that thing. Who can think of consciousness, tell me? Can you ever think even of consciousness? You cannot. Now suppose I tell you, close your eyes, I am teaching you a meditative process. Think of consciousness. You won't be able to do it. You can't think of it. Because you are thinking in it. You can't think of it. Somewhere if you can manufacture that amaniman, the state of no mind, you are it. This is how you will see it. Then you will see how silly we were, identifying with the mind and trying to work through it. So you see, the whole process involves some kind of an inner awakening. I told you, invoke the Divine Mother in your heart and awaken that energy within you. All Shakti Sadhana is this much. This is Shakti Sadhana. Now, how do we practically do that? See, there are different ways. One of the most powerful ways which were discovered in Hindu philosophy, Hindu thought, is one is the puja paddhati, where you actually worship her as an object outside of you, in an image. You invoke her presence. See, in every puja what we do, she is in the heart. You bring her out of the heart into and invoke her in the image through a ritual. And then you worship her there. Why Because understanding my nature is so, the nature of my mind is, it likes to objectify things and relate with them. They have invented this practice. This is the popular Durga Puja, which you do in October. I heard here also so beautifully they do Kali Puja, and all pujas are like this. The actual ritual is you are bringing Mother from your heart, requesting her to come into the image which you have created. And there you appeal to her and pray to her and worship her, please her. For those next, in Navratri, in North India it is 9 days they worship. In Bengal it is mainly from Shashti they do the thing. So that bodhan they will do, and then they will start the worship of this. This is one method, like the external puja method. The second method, which all yogis practice, what they know is, see, where is the Divine Mother actually present? In your heart she is ever present. She is in fact the prana within you. She is the Kundalini Shakti within you. And she is also your mind, because I told you mind, breath, all are aspects of vital energy. So since she is already invoked in this system, if I can handle this system well, if I can handle my mind well, my pranic energy, if I allow it to flow towards the higher centers, and there's a whole lot of terminology, yesterday she was discussing with me, but I will go into that a little later. If you can handle your vitality well, your mind well, it is Shakti Puja. It is the internal Shakti Puja. And without this, nobody can do sadhana. Nobody can do sadhana. If I can't handle my vital energies and my mind, do you think I can maintain my devotion for long? Even to an image? You can't. So this is primary. This thing, we have lost on this in a sense. We are not using these paradigms nowadays. Durga Puja means invoking Mother in an image and worshipping her there. And then after the puja is done, you bring her back into your heart and you let go of the image. This is the normal course followed in a puja. But there is an internal worship of the Divine Mother. She is already invoked here. Yes, she is shining in your eyes as awareness. She is shining in your heart as your breath, as the capacity of your lungs, as your heartbeat. And she is the action we are performing, the thoughts we are thinking. So she is already invoked in this system. Can I worship her here? You can worship her here. This is the internal worship of the Divine Mother. And very, very important. Even for the external puja is meant to drive you inward. The external puja is meant to drive you inward. If you can do this, you will find her ever shining in your heart. You remember that story of Mathur Babu, no? And Thakur? Sri Ramakrishna was so young at that time. And Mathur Babu had organized Durga Puja. And after those 3 days, he didn't want to let go of Mother. On the Dashami day, he was throwing tantrums, crying like a child, that how can I let her go? the emotion that comes with mother worship is like that. Your own mother she is. How can I give visarjan to the image? I won't allow her to go. And then Sri Ramakrishna tells him. See, the words of Sri Ramakrishna were so potent, so powerful. When he tells, it works. So he told him, now she is in your heart, she is here. She is shining here. And that assuaged Mathur Baba. Many incidents are there in Thakur's life. When he says it, it happens, It's so beautiful. See, this is all called Shakti Path in Kashmir Shaivism. It's a very important idea. The illumined person, what he says or does, it will make things happen at that point. See, Thakur's touching Narendranath was Shakti Path actually. Transmission of direct Shakti energy. And in once Swami Akhandananji Maharaj, see, this incident is so beautiful. He was Gangadhar Maharaj. He was only a young boy, when he came to Sri Ramakrishna. And once Sri Ramakrishna takes him to the temple of Mother Kali. So this young boy is following him. And as soon as they are in front of the mother, Sri Ramakrishna gets inebriated. And then he turns to Lord Shiva. Mother is standing on Lord Shiva. Yes? You know the imagery of Mother Kali. No? So he turns to Lord Shiva and he says, Dekho, dekho, kemon jibanto. Look, he's fully conscious. And Gangadhar Maharaj has written, he saw it and really Lord Shiva was breathing and heaving, conscious. He saw him fully conscious. Then Sri Ramakrishna started talking with the mother. And then he adjusted mother's jewelry and cloth like this, and then he came out completely as if he was drunk. And in that state, with Gangadhar Maharaj holding him, he went back to his room. And later on, Akhandananji Maharaj in his reminiscences, he says that when Thakur said, Dekho Jayant Shiv, it is the living Shiva, I saw him as living. This is the power of Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna. The illumined soul will let you see reality as it is. Why I am saying this is, even when you perform all these sadhanas, the importance of the Guru, the importance of a luminous soul guiding your hand is very important, especially in the internal sadhana. There are two sadhanas I told you. One is the external, the puja paddhati. See, if you go to Bengal, there are three hotspots of Shakti worship in India. One is Kashmir, second is Bengal, third is Kerala. There you will find, of course, even in Guwahati, there is, but these are the main spots. So here you will find a whole lot of Shakti sadhaks and the tradition of Shakti Sadhana. Shaktism as a religion is being practiced. So there you will see, truly, if you are in the hands of a really realized master, one who has had first person experience of the divine as mother, he will lead you to the experience. He will lead you into it. And this internal worship requires such a guru. How to handle vital energy, how to raise it through the sushumna, through the chakras, so that the symbolism given is, you are merging Shakti into Shiva. Shiva is in the Sahasrar. You are raising vital energy to the Sahasrar. At every level you have higher and higher awareness until Shakti merges into Shiva. That's the symbolism given, but in practice the hand of a guru is required. So don't get overexcited about these things and try to do it by yourself. Vivekananda makes it clear even in Raj Yoga. The presence of and direction of an illumined master is required. External puja, of course, it can be learnt, the paddhati can be learnt, and your approach to the Divine Mother as a child, you can definitely do it. It is the safe form of doing it, in fact. Anyone can do it, anyone with devotion, but just like that, you are not worshipping Mother. She is the mother of all creation. She is the mother of the universe, the primordial cause of all manifestation. So approach her like that. Even the Chandi, which we will be doing, Chandi Devi Mahatmyam should not be kept there. Please put it on the chair. You treat it with so much respect that really the energy of the Divine Mother comes into us. Keep it in your home shrines. Don't just keep it with the books, and handle it with care. In our mutts, they will put Gangajal and then only hold the Chandi. And when you pray to her, how you approach her will decide what fruit you will get. And she is the giver of health, wealth, security here, and the divine wealth. Both. Remember this. Yes, that is why she is the power of Brahman. She is Chit Shakti. Because we have to relate with the mother, na? We are like children. The human mind is the child mind. Throwing tantrums, having all sorts of emotions, all sorts of thoughts, undeveloped. It's like a child. So the mother is the only way. So she is Chit Shakti, she is the power of Brahman, coming to us as a mother because she knows how we are. So when you approach her, be careful how you approach her. Take care, with full devotion, with complete faith, as was Sri Ramakrishna's prayer. Like that you approach her, she will work miracles in your system. So today afternoon I am going to go into the Chandi, because we should know all about this Divine Mother whom we are worshipping to make our sadhana successful. Yes? And how to handle the Chandi and this. Chandi is only Devi Mahatmyam, Durga Saptashati, same. 3 names given to the same text. And you have the Lalita Sahasranam. All these they are all from, these texts are derived from, Chandi is derived from Markandeya Puran, and Lalita Sahasranam from Brahmanda Puran. And they are all speaking of the glories of the Divine Mother, and who she is, and how she helps our internal sadhana and external sadhana. This we will discuss today afternoon. So you can bring your books, Chandi. You can bring the Devi Mahatmyam if you have it, with the English translation. If you don't have it, don't worry. I'll go through the entire story and give you the spiritual significance of it, how it matters to your inner life. And then what we will be doing is, we go into those hymns where they are praising the Divine Mother, because it shows her qualities, how we relate with her. A little bit we will go into that, although we don't have time for all 4 hymns, completely. That I'll be doing another retreat, because in Delhi they have asked me to do it. So if then it's recorded, I'll send it to you. But we are going to do this in detail because it has to be done correctly, this Chandi part. And then we will do something from the Lalita Sahasranam also, and then we will go into the simplest forms of worship, Shakti Sadhana, which we can do every day. So this is the plan of action. I will end the talk here, and we will take up Q&A at 11:15. Please stretch yourselves for 15 minutes. Jai Maa.